I want to be generous. He spent 20 years pushing for a referendum. We had the referendum, and it was won by 17.5 million people, and he played a role in that. And
But you're pleased to see him go?
Well, I'll be honest. 6 months ago, I was talking about the need for change. I do think all parties benefit. It may not look like it today, this week, but all parties ultimately benefit from having these internal democratic, inclusive contests, because it's a way of generating new ideas and allowing the most able to get to the top.
Don't hold back. You tweeted a smiley face when he announced Nigel Farage who was stepping down.
I tweet smiley faces all the time. I'm very optimistic. I tweeted a smiley face when I woke up first thing this morning.
So you're happy about it?
There is a huge opportunity here. The cartel parties in Westminster have for years taken for granted their electorates. 70% of Labour MPs represent constituencies where a majority of people wanted to leave the EU. And with the noble exception of people like Gisela Stewart, most Labour MPs are fundamentally out of touch with the views. And that's a huge opportunity for us.
And a huge opportunity for you, perhaps, as a successor.
The chances of me standing to be UKIP leader are somewhere between 0 and 0.
Right.
But
so you're ruling yourself out?
Totally. My role, though, is to steer UKIP away from the temptations of becoming an angry nativist party.
Has that happened?
We went too far, and I criticised it when we went too far. And it's not just morally wrong, it's electorally disastrous. This is a decent, generous country. Look, people have a legitimate right to feel a sense of anger with their politicians. But the answer to that is not to play on people's fears and anger, but to promise the hope of something better. And if we can do that, we can be part of a great change. I never want to be in a party where the Archbishop of Canterbury feels compelled to criticise some of the things that people say.
Is that why you were critical of Nigel Farage's breaking point poster?
I was highly critical because it was deeply wrong. And every time I see someone in politics in any party who tries to get votes by playing on a sense of other, whether it's on the left trying to demonise the 1% or on the right trying to demonise the outsider, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to speak out and say that is wrong.
Do you accept it was disloyal?
It was loyal to my constituents and to the hope of a happier, better country.
Right, but what is it going to do to your future in the party? I mean, Nigel Farage has decided his future in UKIP, but yours apparently hangs in the balance. I mean, just to be clear to viewers, I mean, are the executive going to expel you from the party today because of that criticism during the campaign?
I really don't know. And look, I've been in 2 different parties in as many years. You can join a party online for 25 quid. They're not all they're trumped up to be. Some parties are good, some parties are less good, but provided decent people get involved, this is about decency in politics. And my main determination is to make sure that Brexit works. There are 48% of people, many good, decent people, who have doubts about leaving. And we now need to make sure there is a new national consensus. That is far more important to me than Tweedledee versus Tweedledum in Westminster.
So who should lead UKIP?
Someone who's generous and decent. Look,
you must have an idea.
I'm less interested in which actor reads from the script. I want to make sure it's a generous, liberal, inclusive script. No to nativism. And we need to offer angry voters the promise of something better.
Right. Do you think that anger was in some way stirred up by Nigel Farage? Do you think this return to decent politics, as you say, is because it wasn't decent under Nigel Farage?
There have been many occasions over the past 6 to 12 months where I've spoken up very loudly and very clearly. After the Oldham by-election, implying somehow that postal votes and by extension a particular type of voter was somehow at fault was wrong. I spoke out very clearly against it at the time. Those posters, the Dresden comments, all of this is wrong, and I don't think it's decent for political leaders in this country to try to attract votes by demonising them. Look, politics is about aggregating, getting everyone to mark their cross on the same bit of paper. It should be about bringing people together. And I think if we have a leader whose values are in tune with that, the sky's the limit. We really can displace the Labour
Otherwise,
Party.
will it still be the party for you? I mean, if there isn't somebody that actually fulfils those criteria, would it still be the party for you?
Political parties, I'm much more interested in trying to make Brexit work and playing whatever role I can in doing that. Political parties, they're not the be-all. Maybe our politics is in the sorry state it is because the political parties are like the cuckoos in the nest. Maybe actually we need a different type of political party.
Right. What do you say to that, Damien Green?
Well, I mean, some political parties, as Douglas said, are better than others. I applaud him for his stance against the excesses of Nigel Farage, the nudge, a bit racist. The phrase "I'm not racist, but" could be invented for some of the things Nigel Farage has done.
But you're not saying Nigel Farage himself is racist, or you are?
No, I'm not. But he encourages feelings that are unhelpful and destructive, and that's what he's always done through his political career. So in as generous a personal way as possible, I don't dislike him personally, but I'm glad if he's leaving frontline politics. I think it's probably good for politics in this country.
Right. What's your reaction to Nigel Farage stepping down?
I am very pleased that he has decided to take a back seat. I'll be surprised if he does.
If he does take a back seat, you think he'll be right back in the front line of politics?
In
what
some
way?
form or other. I think he's somebody who is addicted to the camera, and I think that's an addiction that former politicians find very difficult to break away from.
Do you agree with Barry Gardiner on that actually Nigel Farage just can't give it up?
You need to talk to Nigel about this. What I'm interested in is making sure that we leave the European Union and we have a new national consensus. Look, we're basically a liberal, outward-looking, generous country. I campaigned for 20 years to get us out the EU because I think the EU is actually contrary to that liberal, open tradition.
All right. Thank you very much.